Afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Biblio Fitness. I'm honestly gonna probably try and not make this too long of an episode today because, as you can tell, I'm outside and yeah, it's hot as fuck. So, on today's episode, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the recent topics that has been brought to light in the dawn of day. And that is regards to the kind of culture that we have become, a culture of traders, a culture of people who are constantly looking to constantly value and construct or decide on actions based upon its utility to other people, based on its alleviation of other people's sufferings, of other people's woes. So, which is kind of like the whole message of entrepreneurship, if you think about it, right? Like, entrepreneurship is about creating a product that will cost the minimum amount of impact in terms of sacrifice, in terms of pain, in terms of time needed to complete said task. That's what it's all about. That's how you can make serious money. And that's the entire culture that we have today, right? Constantly figuring out the next thing that's going to make everything so much easier. We need to start realizing that this constant need for innovation is probably causing our downfall. It's too much progress and there's no sacrifice. We don't want to appreciate it. We become like petulant children. We just expect these things. We are just born with this preconceived notion that we have these rights, for example. And I know what I'm about to say is very controversial, but I don't believe that you should you are born with right for freedom of speech or right to vote. It's honestly that's not the case. Like, we didn't achieve these rights just because we said we wanted to. People had to die, people had to go out on the streets to be able to pull off this sort of political coup, which is really what it is. Most governments are going to incline to autocratic or oligarchical sort of rule because that's just how we humans are. But all the rights that we supposedly are born with are not the case. We've had to fight for them, and the president has been set and enacted into law. Therefore, everybody has to obey in order for this whole facade to continue to chug along, right? But with this sort of philosophy and this sort of train of thought that we've been exercising for the past couple thousand years, which is in regards to only focusing on the sufferings and woes of our neighbors, we've been smoothed out. That's why these sort of observations of what continues to provide extra fuel for my idea that religion really is nothing more than a control mechanism. There's a reason why socialism is advocated by the bourgeoisie, by the aristocrats, by people with a lot of money. It stops all progress for the sake of equality. Because progress is only made through the great and the very, unique individuals. It's not done by the community. It's not done with the facilitation of the crowd. It requires those unique individuals to really be able to blossom and exercise their talents and launch our civilization to the next era forward or next epoch. But that's no longer the case anymore. You could see it, all the time. We've gone incredibly docile because, we have this constant abortion, this constant revulsion with our past. We have a very unique and contradictory relationship to the past and, in relations to any previous generations. There were civilizations that looked upon the past and looked upon the predecessors with reverence, with looking at it for as a source of guidance, as a source of strength and all that stuff. So, but now we look at it with revulsion because we're very violent. We like to go and murder and kill and rape, and a lot of crazy shit goes down for the sake of politics, for the sake of power, for the sake of this sort of nationhood and all that stuff, right? And so since we've been going on this endeavor of just trying to eliminate as much suffering as possible, we're obviously going to be targeting this sort of thing. And the supposed future that we're all dying for is a future where there will be no more suffering, where there will be equality. They're basically vying for your body as fodder. Instead of dying for someone else, you're dying for them. You're dying for this supposed utopia of where the sufferers are all equal and things of that nature. That's what we're striving for. That's what we're overworking for. Nietzsche also makes the observation that we are an overworked century. We're an overworked peoples. From a very early age, we're taught to overwork, and we're never really given the time to really find out about ourselves. We're not ever allowed to be sat into the desert and really figure out who we are, and gaze into the abyss, gaze into the labyrinth, and really find out what makes us. What are these drives? What are these? What makes us go? Where are these passions and everything coming from, and things like that. So, we're just directed from the very beginning to go get a job, to do this, to go to school, to this and this and this and this. And you're just supposed to go constantly from one to the other and constantly work, constantly be tired. To be tired is a sign of it's a badge of honor, right? To be constantly exhausted. Oh, I'm tired because I work all the time. I'm sure that's what he means. And so with that, we're not really allowed to really develop true ambitions. We're not really allowed to develop true reasons, because we're too weak and we're too tired and too weary to be able to combat and to be able to resist and to be able to develop reason and all this and the necessary qualities in order to ensure individuality, which is what happens with most people. We don't reach individuality, as it's pretty fucking obvious. But these are all very unique observations by Nietzsche. We no longer are dangerous, and that goes back to my original premise that religion really is nothing more than a control mechanism. That's why a lot of great rich philosophers were the great original Christian writers. They were able to transcribe the Greek philosophy onto Christianity, this new religion. But it's that we are no longer dangerous. We no longer have the volition necessary to do that, to do just that. We're smoothed out, our revulsion with our ancestors, our revulsion with our past, and the fact that we have pride in said distinction, right? We're proud in the fact that we are separate from the past, and it's just we're becoming more and more delusional. We're not. Our constant running away from reason and nature is quite amazing, really. It's funny to see. It just seems so desperate and pitiful, but that's what we've been striving for a minute now, man. Oh shit, my apologies, but yeah, so I think that'll be all for right now. I think I spoke quite quickly, but this is really all amazing writing from Mr. Nietzsche. He does talk about also that because the fact that we're always focusing on other people, we're never really able to truly advance. We're never given the time. We're constantly worried and focused on what other people are doing, how everything is going politically, economically, and not really pay attention to the most noble of causes, as he says. So, really interesting stuff, man. It's quite aristocratic in nature. It goes back to the whole dominance hierarchy, as some people call it. Hierarchy in general. It's just how the world works, apparently. And there's just a lot of truths that we don't seem to want to accept, because it just intrudes or annihilates the lies that we've been using to keep going the whole time. So it is a precarious situation to place oneself in, but very interesting, right? So that'll be all for today. I hope you all have a great day. Hope you all make amazing gains. And until next time, love y'all. Peace.